This video will demonstrate how to create a new Turnitin assessment in MedicineAfrica Platform and how to grade an assessment on the Turnitin for MedicineAfrica site. To begin, go to the course where you wish to set the assessment. I'm going to go to this example course here, and then navigate to the relevant section of the course where you'd like to put the assessment. I've just created a section here called Assessment. I'm going to put it in there. To add a Turnitin assessment, click on Create Learning Activity and then choose the Turnitin Assignment tool. This will then open a page where you can begin to set your assessment. So the first thing it's going to ask is for you to give it a name. It's important that you give it a unique name and something that identifies it as belonging to this course to avoid any confusion when students are submitting. So this course is called Example Course ABC. So I'm going to call this ABC Course Assessment 1. And then if I were to set subsequent assessments, I could give them a number and they would be identifiable as well. It then asks you to give a summary of the assessments. You can then choose to display this summary on the course page or not, depending on how you prefer to do it. You're then given a number of preferences that you can choose for how you would like your course to be set up. The first of these that it asks you is to choose a submission type. You can choose to allow any submission type. You can choose to only allow file uploads, or you can choose only text submissions. Allowing only file uploads will mean that students are only able to upload a document such as a PDF or a Word document. Allowing only text submission will mean that you will only accept submissions in simple text format. So this can be either copied and pasted over from a text document or typed directly into the assessment page. If you require documents that should have any kind of formatting, also pictures included, then it's worth choosing just file uploads or just allowing any submission type. You're then asked to choose the number of parts for this assessment. So this should reflect the number of parts that is required for students to submit. So if your assessment asks for a Word document and perhaps a PowerPoint to be uploaded to complete the assessment, then you need to switch the number of parts to reflect the number of documents that students should be uploading. It then allows you to set a maximum file size, and you can choose whichever file size it is that you would like to limit this to. The next thing it asks you is whether you would like to set anonymous marking. Now this allows you to hide the identity of a student when they have submitted. This means that you can do impartial marking of submissions. Keeping it off will mean that all students' names are shown on their submissions. So you can choose either yes or no. The next thing it asks you is to allow submissions of any file type. Now, if you turn this on, it means that any file type could be submitted. However, not all file types are supported by Turnitin for them to run the Originality Report on. So they won't be able to pick up matches in some file types. So we recommend that you leave this to no to make sure that all of the files that are uploaded can effectively be scanned for originality by Turnitin. You can then choose whether you would like for the students to be able to view their Originality Report or not. This depends on your own preference. You can then opt for how you would like your grades displayed. Again, this is your preference, whether you would like them to be shown as a percentage or as a fraction. You can then choose to have grades auto-refresh or not. When turned on, Blackboard will regularly automatically update with any changes you've made on the Turnitin site, such as adding a grade or updating an originality score. If you select no, then you'll need to refresh manually. So we would recommend choosing yes. Automatically refresh Originality scores and grades. It then gives you the option to set all of these preferences as a default if you wish. So if you're going to be making a lot of assignments with a similar setup, then I would recommend ticking yes. Now it gives you two options for where you'd like to navigate next: save and return to the course, or save and display. Currently, although you've set your preferences, you've not yet set a due date or a maximum score for this assessment. So it's important that you click save and display rather than save and return to course. Save and return to course will return you back to the course page and navigate you out of the assessment. Save and display will take you to the submission inbox for this course, where you can set the further preferences for this assessment. Once in the submission inbox, you'll be able to add in your assessment dates. The first date you want to add in is the start date and time on which you would like the assessment to become available to students. So for this one, I can click on this little pencil arrow and add in a date. So I'll put in today's date at midday. So it gives you automatically a week in advance. So I'm going to give them a few extra days and put it on the 15th of June there. And I'm going to put the time that I would like submissions to be due as 2 p.m. The post date is the date on which any grading you have done via the Turnitin website will become visible to students. They will be able to see their feedback, comments, and overall mark on this date. So to give yourself some time in which to complete all of this, you'll want to set that a little further in advance. So you might want to put that on the 20th. Okay. When setting times, it's important to consider time zones. The time seen by each user will be relative to the time zone their profile is in. So if you are in the UK, setting an assessment for students in Somaliland, and you set the due date for March 5th at 2 p.m, they would see March 5th at 5 p.m, but this of course would be the actual same time. If you're traveling and set an assessment from another time zone, remember to set the time zone correct to the time zone in which your profile is set to, not to your current local time. You'll also need to set the total marks available. If your assessment will be marked out of 100, you can leave it as it is, as this is the default. But if you want your total marks to be out of something else, say a total of 60, you can just edit that and change that there. You've now finished adding in your assessment, and your assessment will become live to students on the start date and time that you have set. New submissions that arrive will appear here in the submission inbox. Please make sure to inform students of the assessment and to warn them to submit in plenty of time. It can sometimes take a while for documents to upload to the system, so they need to make sure they've left ample time to be able to complete that and submit before the deadline. So that was how you create a Turnitin assessment on the MedicineAfrica platform. In the next video, we'll look at how to grade a Turnitin assessment on the MedicineAfrica platform.